And welcome back to Sports the Nemo Way. And this episode is all about Elgin Baylor. Rabbit is his nickname on Basketball Reference. No, I've never heard that before. Oh. But anyway, the 6'5", 225-pound small forward is a zero-time champ, zero-time MVP. He's 11-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA, playing 14 years in the NBA after being the number one overall pick, being drafted for the second time. And he is a Hall of Famer with career averages of 27, 13, and 4 on 43% shooting. Now, all that being said, this is, again, another 4 have them, 1 don't. Ray, again, being the don't. So to touch on that, Ray obviously does not have him on his list. I, Alex, have him at 31, 7th among small forwards. Wade at 26, 6th among small forwards. Drew at 19, 5th among small forwards. And Doug at 17, 3rd among small forwards. So after saying all that, we'll kick it over to Ray to tell us why he's not on his list.
Well, that's going to be a weird episode then, because here we go. Crank my shit up. No, I like this pick, Elgin Baylor. I don't know how I missed Elgin Baylor, but this is my type of guy. Has the height of a shooting guard, playing in a small forward position, who has power forward skills. A very dominant player with the stats Alex already said at 27.4, 13.5, and 4.3 at 43% shooting. How did I miss this guy, you ask? Because I never watched him play. And he was in the 60s, so there you go. I've heard of Elgin Baylor, but you never really know how good someone is unless you watch them play. Stats are just a line of numbers that are used to compare players. That doesn't always mean they're good. It just means they have great stats. I watched Elgin Baylor video, and I was like, wow, this dude is in the 60s and a skill set like that. Shooting, passing. The passing game is what caught my eye. Even dunking on people in the 60s NBA. In past episodes, my mantra is not titles and stats, because anyone can get stats on a non-winning team, and any Robert Horry can win titles off the bench. But it takes a great player to have an innovative skill set for the times and be able to translate through the times. This is the guy, Elgin Baylor. Just looking at video of him playing, I'm just thinking, why couldn't he just have started in the 90s and get drafted to the Pacers? 36 in points, 28th in rebounds for a 6'5" guy in the paint. Hell yeah. He didn't get any titles, but it's not like his squad was the greatest ever. Only notable name I seen on the team was Jerry West, and Wilt Chamberlain came in at the end of his career. But there was a thing on Basketball Reference, which I'm very confused about. It says that he was on the 72 title roster, but it shows up that he was not on. It doesn't show up on his stat bio as a champion.
Yeah, he retired midseason.
Oh, he retired midseason.
Yeah, ruptured his Achilles tendon.
He just went ahead and retired. And then they started, what, their 32? 33.
Okay. All right. Well, there that is. But if I could change some things around, Elgin Baylor's my guy.
Well, Ray, makes it hard to argue with you when you agree with us.
Yeah, I know. I'm very sorry, but I mean,
that's all right.
I'm very sorry.
No, fair enough.
Well, it just shows you're doing your research and you're willing to admit. I mean, I think before this is over, I'm going to have to make some changes. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And none of our lists were perfect, I don't think.
I mean, mine was pretty close.
Oh, of course, of course it was.
Yeah.
As Wade gives the disgust look.
Chris Bosh. I'm just joking.
Anyway.
Okay.
So I will kick it over for the opening statement from a Laker fan, a young Laker fan.
Yeah.
Drew, to tell us what his opening statement on Elgin Baylor is.
When I think about Elgin Baylor, I just think of bad luck. The poor guy. First of all, he comes to the league with Wilt and Bill Russell, who are dominating the league as tall, big guys and taking most of the MVPs. I mean, he only finished twice, but he gave us some pretty good stats in those years. And then you had Oscar Robertson that steals a year and Bob Pettit at the end of his career. So he's coming into the league with, I mean, the NBA's got some pretty good players, which Elgin held his own. And then he played for the Lakers, and they just could never get over the hump. They came close a couple times, and then the year he retires and he ruptures his Achilles back then, which was a death sentence. He just goes ahead and retires, and then they win. I mean, the poor guy. He just, all I can think about is bad luck. His stats are really good for the old guys. I think he shot a good percentage, 43 for back in them. I think he translates to all eras of basketball. He's a Hall of Fame, 10-time All-NBA. I think he deserves to be on people's list.
Fair enough, Drew. Fair enough. I don't think I disagree with anything you just said there. So we'll go to the other Laker fan. Uncle Doug, what's your thoughts?
Well, you know me, I always talk about the stats. 36th in points. His average is third highest all time. 28 in rebounds. His rebound average is 11th. Assists aren't quite as high, 155 and 181. We talked about the MVPs, and I thought, with numbers like that, why didn't he win an MVP? So I looked back at his 3 best years. In 61, he's averaged 34.8 points, 19.8 rebounds, and 5.1 assists. Bill Russell won the MVP that year with 16.9 points, 23.9 rebounds, and 3 assists. I don't know. Double the points for 4 more rebounds.
Sounds like a crock of shit.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, too. So then you go to 62 the next year. Elgin averaged 38.3 points, 18.6 rebounds, 4.6 assists. Bill Russell again was MVP at 18.9 points, 23.6 rebounds, and 4.5. Again, double the points for 5 more rebounds. And then in 63, he averaged 34, 14, and 5. And Russell won again with 17, 23, and 4.
Wow.
So I think Elgin was right there for at least 3 of those. The year before Elgin came into the league, the Lakers were 19 and 53. They drafted him. He was Rookie of the Year. He averaged 24.9 points, 15 rebounds, and 4 assists as a rookie. And they lost to the Celtics in the championship. So they go from 19 and 53 to losing in the championship. He was in 8 NBA finals. Unfortunately, lost them all.
Damn.
Yeah, Drew had it right. Kind of hard luck there. I mean, you ran into Bill Russell. You ran into the Celtics. Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain. That's where most of the MVPs went. He did score one of his best game, his highest scoring game, was 71 points with 25 rebounds against the Knicks. In 61-62, he only played on the weekend for most of the season because he was in the military. He got called up to active duty, was stationed at a fort, Fort Lewis, I believe.
In Washington.
Yeah, and they only let him play on the weekends. So he went on and had a pretty good season. In Game 5 of the finals, he scored 61 points with 22 rebounds. I believe the 61 is still an NBA record for the finals. And he averaged 40.6 points and 17.9 rebounds. And again, lost.
Damn.
He never really recovered. He had knee surgery in 1965, and he never averaged over 30 points again. So you kind of wonder, he played till 72, so you talking another six seasons. What his average might have been had he not blown out that knee. Of course, we've had a lot of players like that. I mean, his average is still pretty amazing.
Or if he would have just played later in time, so blowing out your knee is not as big a deal.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Because nowadays, blowing out your knee isn't
Or
what
his
it was.
Achilles, he could.
Right.
Yeah, that's true
Yeah.
too.
So, and as Drew mentioned, he retired the year that the Lakers finally overcame the Celtics and won the they won the title. Finally overcame and won the title.
They beat the Knicks, I believe.
I believe it was the
Yeah.
Knicks, yeah. And they also had their 33 games in a row. So Elgin had some hard luck, but he was a good player.
Alrighty. So, Willard, you got an opening statement for us, buddy?
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, to just kind of elaborate a little bit on what Uncle Doug said, I mean, he probably should have been a 3 or 4 time MVP. That was just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, he was clearly killing Bill Russell. That's absurd. That kind of reminds me of some like the Ted Williams stuff from back in the day that I've heard Alex talk about, where they always gave it to a Yankee, even though Ted Williams would like destroy them.
Yeah,
and
Ted Williams wins the Triple Crown, and the second baseman, Joe Gordon
Yeah.
of the Yankees, wins the MVP.
Like, that's what that reminded me of like, because back then everything was a Celtic, I mean, they were the best team by far, but, but then they also all got All-Star nods and All-NBA nods and MVPs, even though they did or didn't deserve them. So that, it's kind of frustrating to be honest, but I mean, we're talking about a guy who averaged almost 40 points per game in a season, who wasn't 7 foot tall like Wilt Chamberlain. So that's pretty crazy. Excellent rebounder. Now, obviously, with me, translating to different eras is really, really big for me. Now, he wouldn't play forward more than likely, playing in different eras, being, 6'5", I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I watched a lot of videos on him the other day, and I think, honestly, what he kind of reminded me of was an older version of a Dwayne Wade, an athletic,
yeah.
strong, slashing guard that was extremely athletic and smooth and could put his shoulder through you when he needed to, too. And had good touch around the basket and had a good mid-range, maybe not necessarily a good three-point range-ish shot. Obviously, there was no three-pointer. That's what he reminded me of. Phenomenal at going to the basket. Extremely good touch. He had some pretty impressive moves for the time period that he was doing. Even like Ray said, he yacked it a few times on a few guys. Showed that he had passing ability and rebounding ability. More than just a little rebounding ability. But that's kind of who he reminded me of, was Dwayne Wade. So I definitely think he could translate to other eras, which is my big bugaboo with a lot of these guys. So that's my opening statement.
All right. Thank you, Willard. I guess that leaves it to me. I also think Elgin Baylor translates to other eras. It's not a perfect translation like most anybody. Like Wade said, he would be a little undersized, a small forward spot. He probably wouldn't average 13 rebounds a game. But I saw in 2 different places that they said during most of the 60s, only 2 guys in the entire NBA dunked the basketball. Elgin Baylor and Bill Russell. Even Wilt didn't dunk. He just laid it up.
Yeah.
So, like, you're literally talking about 2 guys in the entire NBA dunking the basketball, and Elgin Baylor is one of them. So I don't think his athleticism is really a question. He was, a superior athlete to pretty much the entire NBA. So I think that does translate. And I didn't think of the Dwayne Wade comparison, but I think that is very fitting. Wade, I think that was a good one there. He does kind of remind you of a slashing guard that is stronger than the guy trying to guard him, and it was a good comparison. I like that.
They're almost the exact same size. I
Yeah,
believe Dwayne Wade is 6'5", 6'4".
Yeah, I think he's listed at 6'4". Yeah.
And they're about that similar weight and everything.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one, Wade. I do like that. The things I had, I've brought up with a lot of these old guys, their pace-adjusted stats. His pace-adjusted stats are 26, 8, and 3, which is very similar to, like, Dominique. So, nothing to shake a stick at, obviously. It's a pretty good stat line. Honestly, I thought that was a pretty good comparison in all reality. Like when I look at Elgin and Dominique, I would say Elgin was a lot like the Dominique of the 60s. He was the most athletic guy in the NBA. He was the best athlete whenever he walked out on the floor. Would lead the league in scoring routinely, and was the best player on his team, but it just didn't lead to MVPs and rings, which is, pretty much what we can say about Dominique a lot. He scored 50 points in a game, 8 or more in a game, 18 times in his career, 5th most in NBA history. He's 3rd all time in points per game, 11th in rebounds per game. So pretty good out of the rebounds out of a small forward being 11th all time. The one, the two knocks, I guess, on Elgin are his 0-8 in the finals, which Uncle Doug mentioned earlier. And over his career, he only averaged 60 games a season. He missed a lot of games. One season we talked about, he was in the military and couldn't play all the time, but he missed a lot of games throughout his career. But when he played, boy, his stat lines were ridiculous. So I guess that's my opening statement. I don't have any more over here for my opening statement. So normally I would say, Ray, you got a rebuttal since you disagree with this, but Ray forgot to disagree. So I will say this. Uncle Doug, you have him at 3 on your small forward list. Who do you have in front of him? Bird and LeBron, I assume?
Yep.
Bird and LeBron?
Yep.
I have Bird and LeBron as my top 2 small forwards.
I think
as well.
I think I do too.
Does everybody have Bird and LeBron at their top 2 spots?
Yes.
Check.
No,
I
I don't have LeBron in my top 2.
No, Ray has
Pippen.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let me ask you this, Ray, before I make any of those
Okay.
statements. If you just said you like Baylor,
Yeah.
so if you were going to place Baylor on your list, where do you think he would slot in?
Give me 1 second.
Okay, while you think that over, I'll move over to Drew. Drew, you have him at 5.
I do.
Who are your top 4 then? You have Bird and LeBron, and then who else?
Bird, LeBron, then Kevin Durant, and Dr. J.
Kevin Durant, Dr. J.
And that's my 4 and 5.
Oh, okay. All right.
right.
So you guys are similar.
Yeah.
So the top 5, we have the same guys, just in different order.
So Willard, you're having him at 6. So you have Bird and LeBron, and then who are your 3, 4, or 5?
I got LeBron, Bird, Durant, my number 3. Then I got Scotty at 4. And then I got Dr. J at 5.
All right.
And then Elgin at 6.
So I have Bird and LeBron. I have Havlicek, Durant, Rick Barry, and Dr. J. And then obviously Elgin Baylor. Ray, we gave you some time. Do you have an answer for us yet, or do you still need some more time?
Well, I'm going to be generous. I'm not. This is a hard thing for me to swallow, but Mullen's coming off the list.
Okay.
So he would go in the 42 slot at least.
Okay. Does that put him at number 10 on your small forward list?
I think so. Yeah, number 10. So
Okay.
it goes number 10 at least right now.
I know I put you on the spot, so
that's fine.
Yeah.
No, but number 10 at least.
Mm.
For me to reconfigure everything would be another episode. But
right.
but at least number 10.
Okay. Wade, do you have something to say? It looks like you were getting ready to
I'll
talk.
say at the very end of all this, aren't we going to redo our
Yes.
list and then announce them?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I was just trying, for argument's sake, to see where he might fall on Ray's list and see who he put him ahead of. Okay, so 2 of you, Ray and Wade, have Scotty ranked higher than him. The other 3 of us don't. But we all 3 have Scotty on our list.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Why Scotty in front of Elgin?
6 championships. One of the greatest defenders of all time. That's probably a tougher era of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So combine those 3 things, and that's probably why he's ahead of him for me.
Ray?
Well, I've got Scotty at 9.
Overall.
Overall 9. So
Shocked me on that one a little bit.
I feel just Scotty just outworked everybody on the small forwards list, including LeBron, including everybody else on the list. And I'm putting LeBron on the spot. But I just feel like Scotty just outworked everybody. Defensively, offensively, hard work, hustle, whatever you want to throw down there. Scotty just outworked everybody.
Okay. Before I move on to Doug and Drew, do you have LeBron at 3 on your small forward list?
Let's see. I don't even know. I got
Yeah.
LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right after Scotty.
Yeah, I got LeBron at
Okay.
10, but Scotty's at 9.
Okay. All right. So, same question, opposite direction for Doug and Drew. Why Elgin ahead of Scotty?
Well, you know me, I'm the numbers guy, so and the numbers are just so much different. And I like Scotty too. And this was, I mean, Scotty got a lot of titles. He did.
Well-earned titles, I would say.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
well
he
earned.
did. And
Oh,
say
yeah.
Michael didn't get him till Scotty got there. So I do have a lot of respect for Scotty, but I just liked Elgin's numbers and all the things he did.
Well, I mean, we can all agree Scotty is clearly the second best player on 6 championship teams.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah.
he's never
Yeah.
the third or the fourth. He's always the second best player on all
Right.
6 championship teams.
Literally all
Yeah.
6. Like,
Yeah.
we were talking in other episodes how, like, we've had the McHale thing where, you know, he wasn't really a big factor at all in one, and then he was probably the 3rd best player on one, and then the 2nd best player on another. We did that thing with Worthy too, and
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
it fluctuates a lot more than you think.
Right.
He's legit number 2, all 6.
All
Right.
6.
Really,
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree. I also have Baylor higher than Pippen on my list. Although I do like Scotty's championships. In all honesty, Scotty probably wouldn't be on my list if he didn't have championships. I like, Scotty's championships, and if Scotty's championships were as a number 1, he would probably be very, very high on our small forwards list, if not number 1 on our small forwards list. You know, if he was the small forward and was Michael instead of Scotty, then, he'd probably be number 1. Part of it was just, I think, not that I want to get too much into my Scotty argument, but I think there are quite a few players over the history of basketball that could have done what Scotty did next to Michael. And that's why Scotty is a little lower on my list, although he is on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Drew.
Yep.
You and your dad's list are very similar,
Mhm.
but you just have you guys flip-flopped.
Kevin Durant and Dr. J.
Yeah. So he just moved Baylor up in front of two of those guys, but you guys' lists are almost identical at the top 5. So why'd you put those 2 in front of Baylor?
First, I put Durant at 3 because I think he's one of the most unguardable players in NBA history. At 6'11", 7 foot, he can shoot over someone smaller if you put him like at small forward, but the big guys, he'll drive past them because he's that quick, and he's got his 2 titles, which, they're not the best, but he's got them, and he was the best player on both of them. I think we would all say that. Would we say?
I agree. He's the best player on the team.
Oh, yeah, by far. Yeah.
Then,
I think it's Curry's team,
yeah.
but
Right.
Durant was the best player.
Yes, I would agree with that. And then, I thought I like Durant there. That's why I have him. And then my bad. I have Dr. J. Because he got his championship in the 80s.
84?
84. I don't think he was Finals MVP. Moses Malone
Moses was, yeah.
But he still got one in the 80s, so I thought that was a good era for him. And he was also part of his time in the ABA, so it's kind of hard to go back and forth. But I think he's a little bit better than Elgin.
Well, I will say this. I have Dr. J in front of Baylor by one spot as well. I think there was a point in time where Dr. J was considered the greatest player in the world, and there was never a time where that was widely considered about Elgin Baylor. And I think that's one of the reasons why I did it. And it was a tougher era for Dr. J to do that.
That and with two leagues, that everyone comparing everyone, that they just said he was the best. Like when you have two leagues, they don't play everybody, so he didn't get to play everybody, and just be able to say he's the best player in this league without even playing them at all, then that would help out a lot, I would think.
Things get tricky with Dr. J, with the ABA stuff, and then I don't know. He comes to the NBA, and he's obviously a dominant player. But when he had his most team success, he wasn't the best player even on his team.
No, that's true.
So that makes it a little more tricky because Moses Malone was better than he was.
Now I'm going to show my age here, but I'm going to ask Uncle Doug. He made 2 finals appearances early on in the NBA, but lost, right? It was 2.
Lost to the Lakers.
Was it just one? Or was it? I thought he made the finals twice early on.
He may have. I remember the Laker one because that was Magic's rookie year.
Okay. I thought he didn't he play against Walton in the finals in the Blazers?
Oh, you may be right. That may have been that final, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, he did have some success, is what I was trying to get at. But yes, Moses was the best player on that championship team.
Right. And then the team that lost to the Lakers, Dr. J probably was the best player on that team. But again,
it says he went to the NBA Finals 4 times.
What did they? Oh, okay.
4 times in 7 years, including their 1983 championship.
But he only got the one chip, right?
But yeah, they only won once.
Did they lose to the Lakers again later in the decade?
I'm trying to.
Or did
the Lakers beat the Sixers again later, but I don't think that was with Dr. J.
I'm trying to pull up his basketball reference page and look at the years.
Yeah,
I'm sure Mark's judging the shit out of us right now.
So he has the one when he lost to the Lakers, the one he won, and then we got to find the other.
83 won.
Did they lose? Well,
I'm checking the 80-81 year.
80-81.
Because he has an MVP, I think. Does he?
Didn't win that one.
Oh, it says he has 4 MVPs.
Well, that's when you're looking at stuff. It gets confusing though.
Yeah, because
how many you have NBA MVPs and ABA MVPs.
Yeah.
81 was the year they said that he won it in the NBA. I think.
In 81, he was averaging 24 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, almost 2 blocks.
True that.
Anyway, we don't want to make this a Dr. J episode, I guess. But I was just asking about the flip. So, Uncle Doug, the reverse question, I guess, is why do you have Baylor in front of Doc and Durant?
well, yeah, they are my next 2. Again, it comes down to numbers. I watched KD and Dr. J play. I really didn't watch Elgin Baylor play. So I'm going more on what my dad says there. And, watching old videos now, I didn't watch it at the time. It was just the numbers. I just had a lot of respect for what he went through, and I always kind of felt like you rooted for him because he did have such hard luck. And I think that probably played into it to some extent. But, again, Dr. J does have a title, and obviously Scotty has 6, and KD has a couple, and KD was the best player on those teams. That was a close call, but
I think there was some added stuff with Elgin Baylor though. He was one of those first early, electrifying superstars. Kind of helped revolutionize some of the way some players played in the NBA. He actually helped save the Lakers. They were in a bunch of financial problems when he got drafted. And him becoming a superstar and so on and so forth helped save the entire franchise from going bankrupt. He was really one of the first above-the-rim, high-flying guys.
Right.
which was a big deal, which led to players like Dr. J. Dr. J looked up to people like Elgin Baylor.
Mhm.
I think he said that, and he had a big thing about it when Elgin Baylor passed away. Dr. J came out and said that he looked up to Elgin Baylor. So there is some stuff with Elgin Baylor as far as helping shape the NBA, like really change the way things were. Kind of like a Bird and Magic and a Steph Curry and a Michael Jordan, the people that really helped revolutionize things and change the NBA, and a George Mikan, like we brought up with when you had the Mikan argument. Bigger impact than just stats and
Sure.
playing the game.
I feel like that's a fair assessment. You guys have brought up bad luck a couple times. Well, I don't know. I didn't know this before doing research on Elgin Baylor, so I don't know how widely it was known. But his luck was almost catastrophic at one point when the plane the Los Angeles Lakers were flying onto a away game. The engine went out, and they had to put the plane down in the middle of a cornfield.
Oh, shit.
So we almost had a professional sports team die in a plane crash.
Wow, I had not heard that.
Which would have been crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we all never remember because I wasn't around for it, but everybody knows about Marshall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean,
We had Skinner, too. Skinner went down.
Right.
well, yeah, that too. But I was just talking about sports teams. But yeah,
Oh,
you're right. I mean, there's actually been a few rock bands go down in planes.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things of not only will we have lost a professional sports team, but we have lost a superstar.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been, I'm sure that. I mean, and then Elgin Baylor wouldn't be on our list. He'd be a what if. Because
Right.
he would have had like
He'd be
two seasons of phenomenal basketball, and then he died.
Been another
Yeah.
one of those injury riddled or
No,
thing.
he just did.
Yeah.
That'd
I
be
mean,
crazy.
Just
Wow.
yeah.
so
It's amazing they survived.
well, here's the thing. Maybe he used up all of his luck
Right.
surviving a plane crash, and and then he had to tear his ACL and his Achilles
and go
everything.
0-8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get crooked at 3 or 4 MVPs.
I'm sure he'd still take that though, surviving the plane crash.
I'm sure he would.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's still
Yeah.
like, that's cool. I'm cool with it, guys.
That's
Right,
all right.
right.
I'll make the sacrifice
I'll
there.
take the extra
Yeah, I
40,
kind of
50
feel him,
years.
though, because, I served a tour in Iraq, and I made it back safe and sound, so I kind of feel where he's coming at.
Yeah, it's I've flown, but I've never been on a plane that went down. I'm sure that's
Probably
scary
scary
as
when the
all
captain
get
comes
out.
over.
Oh, yeah.
So
The engine has just gone out. We're landing in the cornfield. Hold on.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the early '60s. Like,
Yeah,
would
yeah.
you?
That's-
I mean, like,
that would be
what were planes like in the '60s?
right.
Like,
Yeah,
It's
that's
almost like Orville and Wilbur Wright, just right off the track.
yeah.
yeah. I've been on some rough plane flights, but never one that went down.
Right.
Say, Wade, do you remember our flight back from Texas?
I do. I remember all the turbulence. And
Yes,
I
that was
freaking
one
out.
rough flight.
Couldn't we see like the lightning in the
Yes.
windows next to us?
Well, and at one point, the
Yeah.
plane took a little bit of one of those
Yeah.
drop things, and
'Cause that was my first time flying.
right.
was with you going to Texas, and that was woof.
Have you been on a plane since?
Yeah, I've been to Mexico and
Oh, yeah.
Hawaii and a few other places.
That would not have been the best
Um,
experience.
Well, here's
sorry, go ahead.
another thing. I mean, yeah, with some bad luck with Elgin, but like you have players a lot of times that fall apart in big moments, or sometimes the way they play just doesn't always lead to winning. We've had a lot of those arguments. But as far as with Baylor, I even went back and checked. I know Uncle Doug talked about some of his huge performances in the playoffs and stuff. I mean, he didn't win a championship, but we're talking about a guy that his stats were almost the exact same in the playoffs as they were in the regular season. We're talking about, I'm looking at some of these playoff runs where he's averaging 33 a game, 38, 38, 32, 24, 26, 23, 28, 25. Like, he's absolutely killing everyone in the playoffs, and his rebounds are almost exactly the same as they were in the regular season. 12, 14, 15, 17, 13, 11, 14, 13, 14, 9, 9. Like, his field goal percentage actually goes up by almost a point. I mean, he's still slaughtering people in the playoffs. It's just, at a certain point, it's not the player's fault, to be honest. Like, I mean, I'm sure he had some bad moments, but everyone does. But some of these guys, like, it really is just bad luck, or just they run into an all-time great team, like we talk about when guys fall into Jordan's lap, or those Russell Celtics teams.
Yeah.
It's just honestly just not fair, really.
I don't know the answer to this question, so it really is purely a question. But we said some of these same things in West's episode, where when it came to the finals, he performed really, really well. He won a MVP while being a losing player in the finals. These guys played together for majority of their careers. If they're both averaging 30-some points a game every time they get to the finals, like, what the fuck was everybody else doing?
Well, like
And Wilt got there and played with them for like 4 years.
But you said Wilt played
at the end.
absolutely awful.
Like that 1 year, he averaged like 11 in the NBA Finals. Like,
No, he did, and he won. He also won the MVP the year they won the championship, the Finals MVP. Wilt did, I mean. While Jerry West played terrible. I'm saying Baylor retires, West plays terrible, and they win a championship. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make just thinking about it in my head, not sitting here trying to break down box scores because that's all I've got to go on. But it doesn't make sense in my head.
No, it really doesn't.
When they play when he's not there and West plays his worst, they win.
Right.
well,
Yeah.
without going too crazy into a Wilt/Russell argument that we'll have to go into later, Wilt pretty routinely outplays Russell. Even when I looked up their regular season comparison stats and their playoff stats, and Wilt usually destroys Russell. He always outscores him. Usually is much more efficient. Rebounds are usually they can go back and forth, but I need to refine that website. They compared everything they did, but Wilt's stats do go down a little bit. Let me see if I can find that website again. But so I don't know. So if Wilt's beating Russell a lot of the times, Elgin's tearing it up, West is tearing it up, do the rest of their team suck? I don't know. I
that
honestly
would be
don't
the
know.
obvious answer.
I mean, I don't know what else there would be. Those.
I
if
mean,
Wilt beats-
coaching ability probably.
Well, they did have Red Auerbach, the Celtics.
Hmm.
We need to dive deep into all the other players and just really
We know the
see what was going on there.
I know the Celtics had some more Hall of Famers, but
Well, here's
yeah.
I guess here's the other thing too is if West is blowing up and Baylor's blowing up and Russell isn't scoring and early on Hondo's not there
Right.
and Casey Jones doesn't score, so are Kuzi and Sam Jones matching these huge performances?
I don't know. Yeah.
is there a bunch of them?
Sam Jones was.
Sam Jones could score.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying he
Sam
could.
Jones was a
but
baller.
I feel like we would know if he was scoring 35, 40 points a
Right,
night
I
in the
would
NBA
think.
Finals. You would think we would know that because he was on the winning team.
Right.
So we know that the losers were doing it. So why wouldn't we know that the winner was doing it? Again, these are literal questions I'm coming up with off the top of my head. I don't know the answer to any of these.
Well, here's the LA roster for 70-71. We've got Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain,
There's
Keith
Gail
Erickson, Gail Goodrich,
Oh, big-
Happy Harrison,
Happy Hairston.
Fred Heistel, Ernie Kylam, Willie McCarter, Jim McMillan, Pat Riley,
Oh yeah.
Greg Robertson, John Trevant, and then Jerry West. So I know like 4 people on that team. Patrick Riley, I don't know what Patrick Riley's stats were.
Pat Riley.
7, 1, and 1. So there's a little foreshadow into why shit went.
Yeah, just
going
go
down.
back and let's just see what all these people average.
Okay, well, real quick, just with the Chamberlain Russell stuff. In their entire careers, playoffs matched up against each other, Russell averaged 15 points, 24 rebounds, 4 assists on 41% shooting.
Oh, okay.
While Chamberlain averaged 25 points, 28 rebounds, 4 assists on 50% shooting.
Okay.
So Chamberlain outscores him by 10, 11. Their assists are both 4. Chamberlain out-rebounds him by 3 or 4. and Chamberlain is about 10 field goal percentage points more efficient. But Russell has 29 wins to Chamberlain's 20. So,
Okay.
well, Chamberlain's doing his job against Russell, but he's still losing.
And the other, if West and Baylor, they're both obviously performing, what's the rest of the team doing?
And I think in the regular season, it's even worse.
Yeah, Wilt's numbers go down in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Yeah, but he's
Right.
still outdoing Russell by a decent amount. Like in the regular season, in the regular season, Wilt against Russell is 30 points, 28 rebounds, just under 4 assists on 48% shooting, while Russell is 14 points on 37% shooting, 23 rebounds, 4 assists. So Chamberlain doubles his points, beats him by 5-6 rebounds. Their assists are close. Russell gets him by like 0.6. But again, Chamberlain is more than 10 points more efficient on field goal percentage. But Russell is 57 and 37 against him in the regular season. So it's I don't know. Kind of mind-boggling, to be honest. What is going on with those Laker teams?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Pat Riley 7-1-1 wasn't getting it done.
No, hell no.
No.
I don't know. We're talking about a team here with 4 first ballot Hall of Famers on it. 3 guys where we talk about Pantheon level.
Mm-hmm.
And they squeaked out 1 championship. It is kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah. Which the Celtics were really known for defense, correct?
Yeah.
While the Lakers were known for offense.
Well, maybe
So that might have been, I don't know.
maybe the elite players for the Lakers could score, but the rest of the team couldn't, since the Celtics were so good at defense.
Valuable point. And Wilt was at least not playing up to the level he usually was.
Right.
Havlicek could probably come close to matching West, I would guess. I would probably say Elgin Baylor probably outdid Sam Jones, but again, Sam Jones could probably at least somewhat stay with him to a certain extent.
Okay.
And then after that, it's who knows.
Probably drops off way off for the Lakers.
Yeah. I don't know when Gail Goodrich comes along.
He's there twice.
What do you mean?
He's there for a few years. He leaves for
Oh.
2 years and then comes back again. So
Okay.
he goes to Phoenix in between.
Mm.
All right, so I just pulled up a random year in the 60s. Like the 66 NBA Finals, Boston wins over the Lakers. Game 1, the Lakers win by 4, while Jerry West scores 41 points on 55% shooting. Elgin Baylor scores 36 points on 46% shooting. Gail Goodrich scores 20 points on 46% shooting. And then they have 2 guys I don't know that have scored 10 points apiece. Another guy with 8, 5, 3.
Is there just like averages you can look up for the whole series? So we can just look
Yeah,
and see
it
just
probably can.
overall.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, I can do that. Sorry. All right. In the series, West averaged 34 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists on 51% shooting.
Damn.
Elgin Baylor averaged 25 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists on 39% shooting. Gail Goodrich averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on 46% shooting.
Okay.
And then they had a guy average 12, a guy average 11, 8, 7, 2, 2. And then the Celtics have Russell average 23, 24, and 3 on 53% shooting.
That's shocking for him.
Havlicek averaged 23, 10, and 4 on 42%. Sam Jones averaged 23, 6, and 3
There it is.
Yeah.
on 40% shooting. Tom Sanders averaged 14,
Okay.
Then we had
Yeah.
13, 7, 7. Because Casey Jones averaged 7 and 3. And that's the year after Kuzi is retired.
So Sam
So-
Jones stepped it up there for a
So
little bit.
they
I
had
mean, Sam Jones is a Hall of Famer.
I'll say Sam
Yeah.
Jones is the first ballot Hall of Famer, and he was the leading scorer on 3 or 4 of those championships.
Sounds like
Yeah, he was.
So they
before
had-
Chamberlain, it's Elgin and West. Well, Goodrich didn't play very well.
I only averaged 13. 3 of the Celtics are
Going
averaging
up against
23.
Russell,
And then the
Jones, Havlicek, Kuzi before that,
Right.
and then probably a bunch of defenders. I don't know.
It's something we kind of need to see. Well, so we
I
can't.
need to look
but
up. I want to look up Gail Goodrich real quick.
A couple years later, they met in the finals again. This is what this would have been. Russell's second to last year. And Havlicek averaged 27. Some guy named Bailey Howell averaged 21 points a game in that series.
Okay.
Well, Sam Jones averaged 17. Russell averaged 17. Yeah, Don Nelson averaged 14.
I got to pull up my phone.
And then with the Lakers, West averaged 31. Baylor averaged 26. And Goodrich only averaged 5 in that series.
It's like Goodrich sucks.
But he
I'll
did.
say Stumpy wasn't carrying his weight.
But he apparently he got hurt because he didn't play in all the games. He only played 10 minutes a game.
Wow.
I'm kind of looking at his entire career stats here, and I mean, he was obviously a good player, but it's not. I'm
Yeah.
not getting blown away here.
Didn't he have a couple seasons there where he averaged over 25?
Yeah. That's a
his
couple.
career is 18, 3, and 4.
Yeah, and we're talking about the 60s and 70s here, where, you know, a lot of the superstars were doing a lot more than that.
He's all NBA once,
That's awful.
5-time All Star.
One-time All-NBA. I mean, he has some middle years that are pretty impressive, but
His career numbers are almost identical to Sam Jones.
yeah.
He scores a little bit more, rebounds a little less.
Which one? Who scores more?
Goodrich.
Interesting.
Good
What was he good? Was he a shooter, or what was his thing?
Yeah, that's everything I've read was like they were kind of the Splash Brothers before the Splash
right.
Brothers.
Yeah,
They
he
were-
was a scorer.
Him and West both shooting.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right, well, we kind of went on a huge side tangent there about the Lakers championship teams. And
At least
didn't
Elgin was
Well,
in the conversation.
He was
Yeah, he
was
was
0
in
for
it.
8. So trying to figure out why the hell you're 0 for
Right.
8.
Yeah.
I mean,
We kind of.
Starting to see, yeah.
Yeah.
it's telling him and West are always tearing it up though.
Yeah, they're doing their part. They just need a little
They can
more
only
help.
do so much.
But you think when they got Chamberlain, they'd at least get 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Of course, that was after when the Chamberlain came along. That was after Elgin's knee injury, so he wasn't as good. I mean, he still played well.
They
But
probably still average 23.
yeah,
Yeah, well, Chamberlain was there in '69, Russell's last year,
okay.
but Goodrich was not.
Mm.
That was when Goodrich was gone.
Uh-huh.
So then you had West averaged 38. This was the year that he won the MVP, but didn't win the championship. He averaged 38. Elgin averaged 18, and Wilt averaged 11.
Yeah, that's that 1 year.
Yeah,
11.
Wow.
Jeez.
Havlicek averaged 28. Sam Jones averaged 18. Russell only averaged 9.
I can see why he retired after.
Here's my. Let me ask you a question. We've been talking a lot about Russell here because he's been the one in all these championships. But do you think you could keep yourself motivated if you just went to the finals every year and won almost every year?
I could personally, yes. I'm just saying. I feel like if I just kept winning, and
Because I kind of feel like it'd be like me going home and beating Drayton. After I did it
What?
over and over and over again, like they're just slaughtering teams over and over again. Like after a while, it's like, what is my challenge?
I mean,
I feel like the only thing was after you beat like a different team, that'd be the only thing. As long as it's not the same team every year, like guys,
It almost is.
I'm gonna say yes. Most of the time it is.
8 of the 11 times it's the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, you got to think
Like-
though. there was a real thing with him and Chamberlain, so he probably loved beating
Yeah,
Chamberlain.
that's probably
sure
another
they
thing.
did.
If you had a little
Yeah.
rivalry
One,
going on, if that
Chamberlain-
motivated you, we gotta keep beating
Yeah.
Wilt. You know what I'm
Chamberlain
saying?
was a cocky cunt. Like,
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt about that.
And
No,
he
I
was-
feel you, Wade, because I'd probably be the one coming out with the fur coat and the top hat and just be like, "Yeah, bitch, come at me."
I mean, if I'm
Yeah.
one of the only 2 7-footers in my era, I'm gonna be a little.
like, you know,
The only guy to score 100. I mean,
yeah, I kind of feel like that.
Here, I get the other thing is like, like we're talking about Russell and he's got all these championships, and then we're talking about like Wilt, who, if you look at championships, kind of looks like a failure, but he still has like 2 championships.
Right.
But then we're looking at, like, what about Oscar? And what about, like, Oscar couldn't compete with either one of them. I mean, he ends
Right.
up getting his championship in the 70s with Jabbar.
With Jabbar, yeah.
You know, but, like, or even Elgin Baylor, who he got none, you know,
Jerry
and
Westcott.
one, yeah,
One,
again, you know, and it's like, man, the more you look at it, it's like, I mean, we talk about, like, when the LeBron Jordan thing comes up, we're like, man, LeBron shut down the league. Like, LeBron's like, oh, these championships are mine.
I mean, Jordan.
You know,
Jordan.
or yeah, that's what I meant, Jordan. Sorry.
Yeah.
How dare you say LeBron? shut down the league.
Bad, Alex. Bad.
sorry. I meant to say Jordan, and you know,
Everyone
and that's
wins.
one of the arguments over LeBron.
Right.
Russell did that for a decade
Yeah.
Yeah.
against a bunch of Pantheon guys. Like, it's like, it's hard to wrap your mind around.
It is.
Like, I can't imagine that dominance. Like him, like, I was alive for Jordan, but there was a 2-year gap in between because he left. It was only lasted 6 years in total anyway. Like, I mean, you watched the Lakers Celtics stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But they were taking turns winning, and
the Sixers popped in there a year.
Yeah, the Sixers got a
Right.
year, and Detroit got a year. It wasn't completely like, what I mean. I guess it would be like, what if Magic and Jabbar won 11 of them?
Right.
Like,
Well-
you know. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and say just you gotta think though when he's playing and how much harder things get in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. We're talking about a league with very limited amount of teams. Very limited, you know. They're not bringing in players from overseas. A very limited amount of African Americans. I mean, so then you get one dominant team in a very limited pool. They're just going to repeatedly slaughter that small pool of talent. And that's literally what happened.
I don't disagree with 99% of what you just said. There was a limited pool of African Americans. There was no Europeans. All that stuff. This is one thing I do struggle with, though. Does less teams mean worse teams? Because with less teams, the teams are more stacked. All your talent is on the same 8 teams. So what talent you do have is concentrated. So does that really make it work? Because now we have 30 teams, and like you have teams with no superstars at all, and you have teams that have been bad for decades.
Well, I mean, you could be getting the least amount of teams with the least amount of talent. I mean, it doesn't. You could have the least amount of teams and just have the shittiest talent of all time. So it really doesn't matter what the talent pool is. You're still going to have the talent pool that you pull from. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's going to be shitty regardless. Does that make sense?
I got
I hope so.
I got a little lost.
I got a little lost there
little
too.
lost.
Sorry. That was, I get what you're trying to say is like
Is-
the pool was shitty, so the other teams could be shitty too. Is that
Yeah, that's pretty much.
I mean, I guess that's a possibility. But we've just had like 6 episodes in a row of players from this era, and very few of them play on the same team. I mean, Russell and Havlicek played together.
Elgin and West.
Elgin and West played together, but then we had
Bob.
Pettit, and we're talking about Wilt.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you got 6 players on 3 teams. Where's the rest of the pool coming from?
there's only like 8 of them in there.
Right,
8
that's what I'm
teams.
saying.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, you got a pool of shit players, and then you got 6 people that are all-stars. There you go.
I think that's an oversimplification, but I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, the
I
Knicks.
I think Jordan's accomplishment in the 90s, to me, is more impressive than the 11 in the 60s, personally, for me.
Yes, I would agree.
For sure.
Or even like Magic's 5 in the 80s. Much harder league, much bigger pool of talent. Everyone's much more developed. People much more skilled. Just all kinds of stuff. It's just, yeah.
Just all the people that Michael didn't let get a title. It just blows my mind. All those Hall of Famers, first ballot Hall of Famers, he said no, and then he just over and over. He just
or really Magic and Bird combined did almost the same thing in the 80s.
Yeah.
Combined with each other.
Yeah.
What they did, they got what?
just
8 together.
Hey, let's be honest. If Magic and Bird played today, they'd just team up and win 10 straight.
Yeah. Right.
And don't forget about
They
Kareem.
probably both average triple doubles every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
They almost did that then.
Right.
right. Their career numbers are almost triple doubles.
Yeah. That's how impressive they were doing that in the 80s.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to become the old. At the beginning of this, I was the old guy hater. Remember, guys? I hated all the old guys. So I'm not trying to become the old guy defender here. But I don't disagree that the 80s and 90s were a better era of basketball than the 60s. I don't disagree with that at all. It's just hard to wrap my mind around all this because the information doesn't seem to add up to a logical conclusion, I guess is what I'm saying. So it's hard to sit here and go, well, the two best players in the series played on the same team and they lost, because I feel like if that happened today, they wouldn't lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if LeBron or if Curry and Durant are the two best players in the series, I don't think the Cavs are beating them. Like, if they completely outperform everybody, are the Cavs beating them?
No,
Because
2
LeBron
years.
was the third best player in the series?
No, the 2 years they did, the Warriors beat them, 5 and 6? Or
I mean,
5
usually
and 4?
LeBron, people would argue LeBron was the best or the second best player in every series.
Oh, no, that wasn't the case I was trying to make. I was just trying to say, like, if West and Baylor were the two best players in all these championships, and, like, you would think they would win.
Yeah.
Like, if Curry and Durant were playing way better than LeBron, we wouldn't expect LeBron to win a championship.
Oh, I see.
Here's where I'm kind of coming from on the Celtics thing. I mean, I don't personally know. I didn't watch, obviously. I wasn't born until like a million years later. And, I haven't done a super ton of research. I know probably what a lot of us know. We know the big players and back then and so on and so forth. But every time I've done YouTube videos or read articles about the Chamberlain-Russell matchup or just the Celtics-Lakers matchup, everybody praises like Jerry West and Elgin Baylor about how great they were and this and that, but everyone says they lost to a superior team every time. Everyone always says the Celtics were the overall better team in everything I've ever seen or read. So the players playing, like I'm talking like Rick Barry is one of them. I watched a big interview with Rick Barry, and he's talking about how he thinks Wilt Chamberlain might be the greatest player ever and how he's the greatest player he's ever seen, but he always lost to Russell, who had a much better team. Like, he says that in the interview, and that's someone who played almost with them or against them. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of the time matchup there. But and just the stuff like that. So, but I don't know. That's what I've always had in my head, that the Celtics were by far the superior, maybe not by far, but were the superior team almost always to everyone.
Well, I think one thing we need to keep in mind is maybe not so much the players, but maybe a little more credit needs to go to Red Auerbach.
True.
I mean, he built great teams and kept them there. And I've heard stories about some of the other owners, managers, and they weren't basketball guys, not like Auerbach was.
Well, not only did he coach all those, but then he ran the Celtics,
Right.
through the Bird era and
Yes.
all that. So, I mean, yeah.
He knew basketball.
Another
No doubt.
thing, the comparison about like having like Elgin and West is like the two best players. It's kind of like in track. Like me this year in track, we had like 4 or 5 really good guys, but then we could win like the bigger ones. Like you didn't have to have, but when you got down to it, like the little teams, Like I'm gonna give you the example at conference. We got our points like we'd win an event, but then Centralia would be like 2 and 3 or 5 and 6 in every event, and they just outnumber you. So that's probably what happened to West and Baylor. The Celtics just had more quality guys than the Lakers did.
This is just the way I've always thought about it, and I again, like Wade said, I don't know that I'm right.
Yeah.
But the way I view it is, I don't know that Russell played with more talent than Wilt, because they both played with a shitload of Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
But Russell played with guys that played as a team, because Russell was their best player and he was a leader in that way.
He was a team player.
Yeah, a team player.
Mm-hmm.
Wilt was a prima donna and an
Right.
all for him, all for myself guy. And even though he had a Hall of Famers on his team, they weren't necessarily playing as a team because he wasn't playing for a team.
Well, Wilt himself not only played on those great Laker teams, but with those teams before that, he played with some really good Hall of Famers.
Yeah, he played with Paul
Arizin for
And a lot of in that article I looked up the comparison stats between him and Russell. They talk about the team argument and how it's actually much closer. Now when they break it down year by year, Russell does come out overall with more quality or better teams than Wilt, but it's much closer than you think. Like there was I don't remember 4 or 5 years where they determined Wilt had a better team than Russell. Now a lot of these weren't with one or two of them might have been with the Lakers, but the rest of them were when he was younger. With some of those, was it Sixers teams?
Yeah.
Sixers,
Or something.
Warriors.
Yeah.
But they say
One of the
he
Philadelphia
might have
teams.
had a more talented team than Russell.
Well, this
I
is
don't know.
this is the same guy that decided. Well, I score. After he was scoring all the time, the media would criticize him for being a ball hog. So then he would go long periods of time refusing to shoot, even at the detriment of his own team, so that he could get assists and prove the media guys wrong.
Yeah.
This is the same guy that, after he retired, was hired as a coach, and then all of a sudden just didn't show up to a game again. Like, just didn't call, did nothing. Just one day didn't show up and never showed up again. And he was the head coach of an NBA basketball team.
Wow.
Like, again, I don't want to do my whole Wilt argument right here, but we went off on a sidetrack. So we want to do our closing statements on Elgin Baylor?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep.
All right. Uncle Doug, you want to go?
Yeah, I just always had a lot of respect for Elgin Baylor, how hard he played, how hard he fought, the way he saved the franchise when he came in, and put up some pretty fantastic numbers. Wish he would have got a couple more titles to go with it.
All right. Ray?
Like I said before, I've heard of Elgin Baylor, and it was just like, he's good, legacy talk, whatever. But until you watch him play, like, you really don't know exactly his skill set. But he kind of blows you away in the 60s of what he really is able to do. So, Elgin Baylor, there you go.
Drew?
Well, I think with all, like I said in my opening statement, Elgin Baylor just had some bad luck. I think, like Alex said, he used it all in his plane crash, which I think he would rather have, like all of us agreed with. But the MVPs that looked obviously towards Elgin, obviously should have won a couple there. His 0-8, yes, that does hurt him, but he still performed. That they weren't. Well, maybe they were his fault, but they didn't look like they were his fault. That's all I'm going to say. When you're averaging 25 to 30 points in your NBA Finals, I would not say that's your fault. So, Wade?
Well, I mean, I don't think I have too much to offer outside of what you all have said. I mean, he was a beast then. I think he'd be a beast now.
Hell yeah.
Pretty simple.
That too. I think he
and I
translates.
think he got ripped off of a few MVPs for sure. After Uncle Doug said that, I've been obsessed with it ever since. Really kind of pissing me off.
True that.
But yeah. But obviously an all-time great, and obviously belongs on, I think, everyone's list.
Hell yeah.
Which in hell yeah for? It's not on your list.
It might be at the end. Don't be coming at me like that.
This was one of the episodes where, I mean, obviously Ray didn't have him on his list, but I had Elgin ranked the lowest out of the guys that had him on his list, but I didn't expect that to be the case. I wasn't like, I don't have any hate for Elgin Baylor, like I have him, 31 on my overall list. Like I don't think that's low. So I like Elgin, and almost all of my points today were positive about Elgin. I just brought up his lower games played and his record in the finals, but other than that, all my stuff was positive. I think he was a great player, an all-time great player. Obviously, that's why he's made my top 50. For everything I read, he was also a great dude. And he played in an era where it was hard to be in the NBA and be black and be a good dude. I mean, we saw what it did to Oscar. He turned into the angriest man in basketball. Yeah. We've heard what it was like for Russell, and he was playing at that same time. So yeah, I think that is the end of our Elgin Baylor portion of this episode. So we will head into the trivia portion of today's episode. Drew, do you have something?
I got my question ready, like always.
All right. Well, I think we're ready.
All right. So Carmelo Anthony in middle school, he didn't say his real name. What name did he say?
Are you fucking serious?
He said a name in middle school?
He didn't want to be called Carmelo. He said this other name.
Instead of Carmelo,
Yes.
by something else.
Yeah. He got in trouble for it, too. And there's a reason why, too. I'll tell you at the end.
The fuck is this, man?
The one
All
part
right.
question.
I got
in
I've wrote down a
7th grade,
name.
Mello said something.
What is it? Okay, I wrote down a name. You should be disqualified for this, Drew.
Way to go.
Oh, Drew.
All right, I'm ready.
Your father's
I got an
ashamed.
answer.
I wrote down Dick Anthony.
I said Mark Anthony.
I said banana hammock.
I said Snickers.
Please say it's Dick
It's
Anthony.
not Snickers.
Tyrone.
Tyrone
Anthony.
Oh my
Because
God.
they couldn't pronounce Carmelo. So he would say, my name's Tyrone.
How hard is
There's
it
a-
to say Carmelo?
There's a candy called Carmelo.
Okay.
Well,
Oh
no
my
points
gosh.
on that question.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Wow.
Drew.
All
Thanks
right.
a lot,
I'm
bro.
gonna make my question harder.
Yeah.
When Larry Bird was 4 years old, his mom called him what?
Hey, Alex, we used to be roommates. What did I say when I was 7?
Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
All right.
Can you list all the jersey numbers that Michael Jordan wore during his career?
Just NBA career?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I hope, but now that you ask it, now I feel like I'm forgetting something.
I do, too. I feel nervous.
Well, I'm gonna go with these two.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready.
23 and 45.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Well, those numbers aren't wrong. But for one game in 1990, he wore the number 12 because someone stole his jersey.
Oh my God. Son of a bitch.
I knew there had to be another one, but I
I
had
figured
no
there was
idea.
another one, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I should have wrote a number down, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would have been 12, though.
Let me change my trivia question.
It was actually in Orlando. Your Magic stole his jersey.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say. I don't know if it was stolen, but something happened to it where he had to wear number 12.
That's a good question, Wade. Fuck your question, Drew.
My question was great. Tyrone Anthony.
Anybody else want to go?
Yeah, I can go.
All right.
All right. Elgin Baylor scored 71 points. This is tied for 8th highest. Who is he tied with?
Oh, 71.
Boy.
Boy. 70. 71 or just 70?
71.
Okay.
And quite a
I'm
few of the
ready.
ones ahead of him are Wilt.
Shocker.
Yeah. Well,
Kobe.
Actually, when he scored his 71, very shortly after Wilt scored 73.
Ah, yeah.
See, I'm sure that was another Wilt thing. Like,
Ego.
well, somebody
Right.
has my record. I got to go break it. It was that easy.
Right.
I'm ready, by the way.
I got a name.
I do not. Who is tied with him?
Drew, write a name down.
I'm thinking.
That's what he made us do for the first question.
Dude, it's clearly Steve Nash. Now write it down.
No, it's not Steve Nash. That's why he's my number 10 point guard, because he didn't score 71.
Well, if that's the case, how you get higher than 10, there's only going to be a couple of guys higher than 10 on your list.
I don't know.
It's Calvin Booth. I remember him from NBA Shootout 2001. Seattle Supersonics.
That's right.
All right, I'm ready.
Booth. Oh my God.
All right, what do you
Ready?
guys got?
Thompson.
I put David Robinson.
I just said Chamberlain.
Yeah, I said Chamberlain, too.
David Robinson.
I'll be damned.
Woo! 51. Good job, Wade.
Give Daddy a point.
All right, Ray, you or me?
I'll go ahead.
All right.
All right.
He's laughing, so this isn't a good sign.
Which NBA franchise set the league record by appearing in the playoffs for 22 consecutive seasons?
I have a answer.
I have an answer, too.
I got mine.
So I guess it was the
Is that everybody?
I think so.
Yeah.
I got the Spurs.
How about the Spurs?
Spurs.
I said Lakers.
It is the Philadelphia 76ers.
What?
Wow,
What?
When do they do that?
I don't know. It didn't-
I mean, the Spurs won the championship in what, 98,
98 for
97?
the first
And, like,
time. Yeah.
It's
then-
probably 70s and 90s.
Made the
or something.
playoffs every year till like, what, 2019, 2020? No, they missed 2020.
Yeah, they were only
19.
18 or something.
Mm.
Wow.
I thought
know that.
I thought I was right when I,
I
said
was
the
Well,
Spurs.
they had 18 straight 50-win seasons, but I thought
Yeah.
they squeaked in the playoffs a couple times after the 50 games
Yeah.
ended.
Yeah, or before. I mean, they had Robinson before that. It's not like they were garbage.
and Sean Elliott and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I guess the season before that, though, they had the number 1 overall pick because Robinson was out for the season.
yeah.
So it wouldn't have been
That's true.
before. It would have.
Right.
It would have had to have been after
Mm.
somebody.
But then
else.
after all those guys left, they still had Aldridge and
DeRozan.
Patty Mills and
Oh, yeah.
DeRozan and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. All right, so I guess that leaves it to me. My question: the 2021 season, who led the NBA in rebounds per game? Not in junior high, in the NBA.
I didn't say junior high. I said middle school.
Same shit.
I can't think.
Do 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 do.
Your noise making is distracting.
Sorry, it's a lot of dead air.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead with this one. A team that entered the 2013-2014 NBA season with the longest current consecutive playoff appearance streak was the San Antonio Spurs with 16 seasons. So there you go with that one. That was kind of boggling everybody's mind.
I got mine.
All right,
gotta
I got one.
guess.
Is that everybody?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what you got?
I said Ayton.
The two I said was Ayton.
Jokic.
But Clint Capella. It's Capella, ain't it?
It's Capella.
Oh
Oh, go Wade.
14 a game.
Wow.
Am I the only one that scored today, Big Boy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
and you
it.
scored twice.
Yep.
So, next week I'll be asking questions about junior high.
What was that damn name again?
Tyrone.
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 You know Tyrone Anthony went to the Lakers?
Yep, he's the other geriatric there.
Those you're going to call him from now on. Tyrone. Anthony.
Tyrone.
And after today's points, the scores are as follows. Ray with 17, Alex with 32, Doug and Drew both with 33, and Wade with 43.
Jeez.
So Wade had his league cut in two, but now he has extended it back out. So
Pissed him off.
the only person to score a point this week, unfortunately for the rest of us. But thanks for joining us in this week's Elgin Baylor episode on Sports the Nemo Way. And please join us next week.
For
For Chris Paul. Yeah, we're not going to talk about the 60s next week, guys.
Woo!
For the first time in like 5 weeks.
For the first time in forever.
We talk about someone we all watched.
It's true. We just watched
Sorry,
like
guys.
2 weeks ago.
Very limited list with Drew.
So the Chris Paul episode will be next week, going more recent for everybody, as recent as you can be, I guess. And thanks for listening to Sports the Nemo Way.